still love that intro. It never gets old. Is it me or do I look green? I might have to adjust my lighting in here. I'm looking green. Hello, everybody. It's Vera Jones. We are back for another week of Certified Unscripted. I apologize. I've been bouncing all over the country. The bags are from many days of travel, about 5 cities in 10 days. So yeah, I'm still trying to play catch up, and so much is going on per usual. Do not be disappointed. In fact, I think you're going to be exceptionally excited. We have a special guest tonight that I just found out about. So stick around. We're going to get to that. First and foremost, on a much more serious note, yeah, it's even hard to even say. It's hard to fathom. It's hard to even talk about. Prayers are out for Tiffany Jackson, former first-round draft pick. She was number 5 to the New York Liberty, but she was so much more than that. She was a Texas Longhorn All-American. She was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer in her 4th full season with the Shock. That was in 2015. And then in 2016, it went into remission in 2017. She was with Penny Toller in the LA Sparks. In 2018, she retired, and then she went on to be an assistant coach at Texas. And a Longhorn family is in deep pain tonight over the loss of 37-year-old Tiffany Jackson. And we at Certified Unscripted, along with my co-host, Savannah. Savannah, where are you? Yeah, Savannah Hamilton is with us again tonight. And just a really sad, just a sad moment. I hate that we're beginning this way, but we would be remiss to not. This is just breathtaking.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've done a good job just giving the facts, and it's one of those sensitive things, right? Like the women's basketball community, as you know, is such a small, tight-knit group, and it doesn't even matter if you don't know them directly. It's like in my case, obviously, I don't know her personally, but like that's not to say that like, you know, I don't understand like that's somebody's teammate, that's somebody's sister, aunt, mom, or you know, however it may be, right? And we know how important that is in our community, and it's just, you know, I see the human in her as well, and just what a beautiful person she really seemed to be.
And when you think about on the basketball front, how many times, especially in collegiate basketball, but also in the WNBA, we've aligned with the different pink games and all of that pink symbolizes, because we've wanted to call such attention to breast cancer that really takes the lives. We often think of it as an older person's disease, but to see someone like Tiffany at only age 37 to be taken away by this disease, it is definitely one of those things where you want to pay a lot more attention. I think we've done a better job as a society of getting mammograms and paying attention to, you know, our bodies as women. But again, this is just such a reminder. And man, every time I think about it, my heart just, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, prayers out, definitely.
Definitely. No, sorry. Just to tag on to exactly what you said, 37 is definitely too young to go. And, you know, we talked about it just before we got on live here that, you know, I had an aunt that played briefly in the WNBA, and she it was a while back for me, but she lost her life at 39 to cancer. So that's why when I heard about this, it really hit home. I had to like even fight back the tears, even thinking about it right now, because I understand exactly like how her family must be feeling and what a loss to the community as a whole.
Yeah, so we certainly will continue to pray for Tiffany Jackson's family and the Texas Longhorn family, the WNBA family, and our own family of a lot of you out there, by the way, watching us on Facebook and YouTube, on many platforms, Certified Unscripted. Be sure to check us out on certifiedunscripted.com as well. Thank you for your prayers, because we have received them, and we're getting some comments right now about Tiffany Jackson right now. So thank you very much for that. We certainly want to make sure we do our due diligence to honor her. And then the best way we can do that is also to take care of ourselves, right? Take care of yourself. Go and I had mine 2 weeks ago. I've often wondered, you know, if that was a job that I could do. I know that it's not. I could not do the breast mammogram. I could not be that lady. Couldn't be her. But I'm very thankful for her and all that she does around the world, those people that keep us safe. So go ahead and get that. We're going to talk about some hoops today. We have a special guest that is joining us as well. But before we go any further, how cool would it be, or how cool not? We're probably going to get some different varying opinions on this. To be an athlete right now, coming out of high school, you're closer to it than me, way closer. So you're coming out of high school, Savannah, and you got a choice of colleges to go to. Got some big names after you, right? And then you see Dawn Staley is shelling out $25,000 to every player that comes to. What school you going to?
I got 25,000 reasons to go to Dawn Staley School.
Oh my gosh. I'm really just catching up. I guess I was under a rock a little bit, but I'm just catching up on this. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So she's got a foundation or some type of organization or something or other that has pulled together and has made it available that every player, like,
and this is
the one that sits on the end of the bench and eats popcorn because she's not getting no run, I'm getting $25,000.
And considering like NCAA athletes, like NCAA is obviously evolving now. We're seeing it through deals like these, but like, students don't get paid. They get free education, and that's great. But like, the value of an athlete is higher than just the free education for these schools. They're representatives, right? And so if you are getting compensated at a school, you're like, someone is seeing your value in a brand perspective, even, like, that's a lot of money. 25,000 to be a university student. Like, I would have, with 25,000. What would you have done with $25,000 as a student, especially a student athlete?
I just, I know that this is only the beginning. Like, we're going to hear, like anything else that's new, we're going to hear the pros and the cons. I love me some Dawn, do a lot of work with Dawn, but I just think this is going to be, I don't even know where this is going to go. I mean, I remember once upon a time back in my day, and I'm sure our guest today can talk about back in the day, right? When, it was totally taboo. You couldn't even get another job. If you're an athlete, you can't get paid. You can't get an undercover, job somewhere. The boosters have to stay far away. There was no such thing as giving a player money. We had many people on the team, myself included a couple of times, didn't even have money to do laundry, right? Like, and it was still taboo. And so it's crazy to watch how this whole thing has turned around.
Vera, back in your day, back in my day, the same day, apparently.
Okay.
Because same thing, we weren't allowed to have second jobs. And my sister, who played for Northwestern, no way. The best you could do was an unpaid internship. And so, now you're having all these reasons why, and you're right. It's just the tip of the iceberg. And I'll say this one thing. I'll say one thing there. I hope it's coming with financial literacy courses as well.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. That should be included. That should be for sure top of the list. So that's one of the things. Now, one of the other things that's out there is, hold on, wait a minute. I see a comment. Vera would have gotten 50,000 if I could knock down a three. That's right. That's right. I've been shooting for the 50 now. Thank you, Danine, for that. I see that comment. We are about to bring on our guest, but before we do, just so we can get a little bit of this other news out of the way, a couple of things. Obviously, Brittany Griner, the Kim Mulkey situation. I saw a comment about that too. I think heaven, thank you. Kim Mulkey has lost my respect for not talking about Brittany Griner. It is weird. It's very strange what went down. I don't know what went down with all of that. Here's my take on it. I'm not saying coaches fall in love with every player they've ever had. I get that. But at this level of social media and visibility, to not say anything. What could have been so bad between Kim Mulkey and Brittany Griner that she would just, I'm not saying anything. She's stuck in a Russian prison and you can't say anything. Not even, I'm praying for her and her family. I ain't saying nothing. So,
Vera, I was playing with this in my head for the longest time when those comments first came out, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, let me think about the most disliked person I have in my life or something like that. Let me think about the person I do not like the most, right? Hate's a strong word. I don't hate anybody. But I was like, and now let's picture them in a Russian prison. I'm like, nah. Even if it's the person that I cannot stand in my life, I'd be like, nobody deserves to be in a Russian prison, period.
Right.
So, and I would say that, I would vocalize that. And you know this, because you had great career in media as well. You still do. And when you're media, when you're a public face, you stay neutral or you go positive. But even saying no comment, and in the tone that she said no comment, says everything. And that's why people are running with it. So even if you don't like that person, say at least it's a tragic situation.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah, it's a tragedy.
What was her PR? Like, I'm like,
for real.
Get paid so much money just helping people through some of this stuff.
She was about to be like, let me tell you how I really feel. You know, she was about to go off.
Yeah. So that was another thing that came up. Wow, I'm still blown away. And what else? There was something else. I was what else? Oh, FIBA. You've got to talk about that, because I've been on the road in airplanes and chasing down flight connections.
What's happening? That show called Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Yeah,
you know that show? There you go. That's you. That's your life. I love what Netta just said. You know, she's like, "What's up with the USA games being on so late? No one can really check them out." Well, Netta, I was up during those weird late hours myself, covering the Canada games. For those who don't know, I live in Toronto. And so I was covering kind of like the whole tournament, but with a bit more of a focus on Canada. But regardless, the hours were insane. And it started at 4:30 a.m. some shows, and others were 2 a.m. And like the earliest one was 11 p.m. And so I can only imagine what the Team USA schedule was, probably along the same lines. And yeah, it was brutal. So for a lot, I think it didn't get prime time. Obviously, the tournament itself was held in Australia, for those who don't know. So if you want to watch the games live, then you're up at like the crack of dawn, because you know, for them, it's like a 6 p.m. game. For us, it's like 4:30 a.m. So that's just context there. But what I made of FIBA, man, it was, Rita, there you go. What I made of FIBA, it was great. Like, to see the talent on display, to see legends internationally go off. Like, I've seen Arella. She was going great. She was great for, I think it was Puerto Rico. It was Puerto Rico. And then Lauren Jackson.
Garantes?
Yeah, Garantes. She was killing it.
I love
Puerto
her.
Rico.
Yeah,
me too. I'm a big fan of her.
She can ball.
She can. And then, of course, like Lauren Jackson stepping out of retirement and at the age of 41 with kids, with broken knees, dropping 30 points in the bronze medal game against Canada. Trust me, I watched it with my own eyes. I'm like, you guys are really going to let her do us like that? Like, it's okay, no problem. And then, of course, I'm saving the best for last, because I watched one team have a really, really great game against Canada, and that was, of course, USA. They beat Canada by 40 points. They 40-pointed them. But I don't even take offense, because, hey, listen, the States, they averaged 46 points against opponents in the FIBA tournament. And they handled China just well. China, actually, I thought China was throwing some punches, but like considering like the States are just on a whole different playing field. And we have to talk about Vera. Like, you got to talk about A'ja Wilson. She won MVP for FIBA. Just, you tell me just how incredible her year of this year has been for her.
When did they get a chance after winning the championship? When was their rest period? Like, I'm complaining about chasing down airplanes, right? When did they even, that's the part that I continue to marvel at over and over again. When did they even get a chance to rest?
None.
Right away.
Like 7 days. There's something like 7 days between the WNBA championship and FIBA. And I think she came a little bit late to the FIBA training camp, or like just practice or something like that. So she kind of like went in from, you know, tweeting about how much shots she's taking at the parade to
and the parties and the parades,
and everything, and with Kelsey Plum too, because Kelsey was there in FIBA with her as well as Chelsea Gray. And then they went straight down and immediately like stole the show again. Like,
Kiki
insane.
says A'ja Wilson, she has admitted is the best player in the world, slightly ahead of Stewie. So I mean, that's fine praise coming from our girl Kiki. Right. Best player right now. I mean, it would be hard to argue against that. So we won't debate it. What we will do is we will bring in somebody who knows hoops,
expert,
and certainly should know what the best player in the world looks like. She's out of the South Bronx originally, and I got to make sure that I call her doctor now. It is no longer just Rhonda Windham. It is Dr. Windham, former GM of the LA Sparks. I have to be honest, I forgot about that little stint. I always knew her because I was a huge fan back in the 80s of the University of Southern California. She was there 83 to 87. She's a Naismith Award winner. In her senior year, I believe, at USC. She'll tell us all the truth about it if I'm messing this up. But please welcome to Certified Unscripted. You'll remember her back with the McGee twins, Cheryl Miller. Cynthia Cooper was in the house. It is Rhonda Windham. Welcome.
Quite an introduction. Just a few things to start off.
Okay.
I love the South Bronx. I'm not from the South Bronx.
You're not South Bronx.
The Bronx.
Just the Bronx. Rita said South Bronx. I took it and ran with it.
Yes.
Sorry about that. So you're from the Bronx.
And it's Windham.
What did I say? Windham?
There we go.
Yeah, bad habit.
And I've been correcting everyone my entire life, and it's no problem.
That's all right. I want to get it right. It's Windham. Rhonda Windham.
That's it.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, Rhonda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell us, you've come from a mighty long way. Now, are you still out in LA? You're still West Coast?
Yes, I'm in LA. I started to do the show sitting out in the backyard, but I thought that was just too much. It's nice and sunny here today. Right now we're still in the high 70s. So
yeah, we just came through Hurricane Ian. That would just be rude. It would be rude, right? To just be showing off or having good weather, right? Having just come through a hurricane. Yeah, no. Tell us about it. Tell us about the start. I know we have a lot of questions that are going to be popping up here. We have a 100,073 USC Cheryl Miller fan. You're going to get a ton of questions. Yeah, you're going to get a ton of questions. But for starters, give us a little bit about your background, how you came into the game.
Oh man, background from the days in the Bronx playing for first Roberto Clemente State Park in the Bronx. In the early days, and then we went to Intercession Church where I met. That's when I met Rita Haywood, playing for Mr. Black and Intercession Church, and then we transitioned to Riverside. Oh man, how I love playing for Riverside Church. We had the best uniforms, the best jackets. We won all the tournaments. We got all the big trophies. And Mr. Black definitely taught me how to become a point guard. You know, when I first started playing, I played at John F. Kennedy High School, and at the time, my first year, I was playing shooting guard, and I still remember the day. All my people, what's up, Michelle? The day that I went for tryouts for the basketball team, I was in the 9th grade, and my mom, we were standing in the kitchen, and I said, Mom, I'm gonna be home late today. We have basketball tryouts. And she said, oh, baby, don't worry. You know, you're just a freshman. If you don't make it this first year, you have another chance. I said, not make it? I'm gonna start, Mom. What are you talking about?
What?
So I was really excited to have the opportunity to play at John F. Kennedy High School. Started off 4 years. We were actually city champs. Myself, my girl Kim Jenkins, Rita Campbell, Kim Ambrose. I mean, we had quite a crew there. And then my girl Deshawn Martin came to Kennedy to carry on the legacy. But we, playing in New York City, I loved it because in the summer times we played all of our tournaments outside. Yeah. So imagine, New York in the summer, it's humid, it's blazing hot. So our team would get on the train and go from park to park playing in tournaments, kicking butt and taking names. And I remember playing in a tournament at Central Park, and the game started at 8:00 in the morning usually, and it was the Janice Thomas tournament. And Janice Thomas was a serious player. I believe she played at LIU, along with Nancy Lieberman. Back and she used to have those tournaments in the city. And so I remember playing in that tournament, thinking, "Wow, I would love to be able to do that one day, have my own tournament." So, that was, aspiration to me for greatness down the line by being around all these older players. Rita Haywood, like I said, my girl Nudie, Mary P, Jackie Brantley. You know, Nancy Lieberman was around, Carol Blaze-Jowski. I mean, it was so many, Debbie Miller, Althea Gwynn, so many great players, you know, that I was able to watch as I was growing up and aspire to things that they were doing. You know, they were going overseas to play, they were going to college to play. So I had excellent examples of what life as a basketball player would be like.
So how did you get to USC? And how was that experience overall?
USC, amazing experience. You know, when I was little, like I'm the oldest of four. And so I can remember clearly my mom telling me when I was about 9 that she sat me down and she had this conversation with me. Okay, you're the oldest. What you do, your brothers and sisters are going to follow. And so, you know, I want you have to go to college, but I can't afford to send you to college. So you have to get a scholarship. Wow. I'm like, I was 9. I remember this day clearly. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this on. So I remember going in my bedroom, and my sister and I, we had canopy beds, and my bed was on the side of the window.
I remember those.
I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, looking out the window thinking, what the hell is a scholarship? I didn't know what she was talking about. I didn't know what she was talking about. And, you know, these were the early, I'm trying to think at that point that it was did Title IX even kick in yet? But it was like right on the cusp of Title IX. Yeah. And so I didn't even understand what she was talking about, but it was something that I had to aspire to achieve. And so it wasn't until, you know, middle school where like I said, I was playing basketball at Roberto Clemente State Park, and I also was doing gymnastics. I loved gymnastics.
Someone asked about that. Yeah.
Handsprings and all of that. And one day, the park director, Al Pemberton, came to me and said, Rhonda, it's time. He's like, it's time for you to make a decision between basketball and gymnastics. And he said, you'll be able to get a scholarship as a young Black athlete much easier playing basketball than doing gymnastics. And I said, really? And I heard this word scholarship. Yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, so what do I have to do to achieve this scholarship? And he said, you have to have excellent grades. You have to be an exemplary citizen, and you have to, you know, kill it on the basketball court. And I said, that's it? He said, yes. That was the end of my gymnastics career. It was over. Gymnastics was over in the 7th grade. So I just really focused on basketball, and, you know, I had a lot of support. And I played in, I went to a basketball camp my junior year, the first year of the Blue Chip camp. And I think that first year it was called Blue Star. Yes. And it was myself, Pam Leaks played at that camp. She played at North Carolina. And I was another player. She wound up going to Rutgers. I can't think of her name right now. And so it was an awesome camp. It was outside up in the Poconos. And a lot of college coaches came out. And so I really got a lot of scholarship offers after playing at that camp. Also playing in the Empire State Games in New York City, where it's like a Junior Olympics, and I would play in the Empire State Games every summer. I actually dislocated my finger my junior year playing in the Empire State Games, and my finger still is my finger's still messed up. Look at that. Look at that.
You and I got a lot in common. I got one of them crooked ones too.
Because after the summer I was able to play. They put this brace on my finger. I was able to play that summer in the tournament. We won, of course, Empire State Games. When I came back, I started doing hand therapy. And at the end of hand therapy, my finger still wasn't straightening out. And this was now my senior year in high school. And the doctor said he was going to have to break it and reset it. And I said, okay, well, when can I play again? And he said, oh, you won't probably be able to play this season. I'm like, no, it's okay. My finger's good. That's okay. I'm all right. I'm okay. So my finger's been like this.
Somebody use the pinky anyway. We're fine. We're fine.
So the coach at USC heard about me from the camp, actually.
Linda Sharp?
Yes, Linda Sharp. So Mike Flynn actually told Linda Sharp about me. And then they started recruiting me. But I thought I was going to maybe go to Virginia or Rutgers, Northwestern was in there, and possibly Maryland. And
you got some academic schools in there.
Yeah, grades were pretty good. Grades, and that was something that I thought about, as a young athlete. I wanted to be in control of my future. I wanted to be able to make the choice that I wanted to make. So I had to put in the hard work, in the classroom and on the court. And so I thought I was, a couple of schools wound up. I went on a recruiting trip to Rutgers, and then Teresa Grants, she wasn't really that interested in me. Virginia at the time, Gino Ariemo was an
assistant coach. That's right.
Virginia.
I did that same trip too.
They were recruiting me hard, and then they signed someone else, and then he told me he didn't have a scholarship for me.
So I had the same thing happen to me.
Yes, and so
at Virginia. Thank you, Gino.
Yes, and so when I finally went on my recruiting trip to USC, at the time, I was in the last class of players where you had to pay your own way. So the next year, so this was 82. So 82, I had to pay my own way to go on the recruiting trip. So we did that. We did that because my mother was very interested in USC because it was a private university. Right. I was interested in USC because they had the McGee twins, and I'm thinking, what? 2 6'3" sisters hooping? Okay. Yeah. And they need the point guard. So I was very interested in USC. And Cherl hadn't signed yet. I didn't know that much about Cynthia Cooper, but when I came on my recruiting trip, you were able to play with the team.
Yes.
So we were able to go in the gym. We were able to play. We were hooping. There was chemistry there. And Pam McGee was my host that weekend.
Oh, so wow.
After practice, they kind of cornered me in the locker room and said, all right, what are you going to do? It sounds like Cheryl Miller's going to come and she can play. If you come, this is our squad. We can win it. I said, all right. Ooh. I said, I like the team. I think, I'm going to come. Don't tell your coach yet, but I'm coming. Okay. So,
did they tell her? Did she? They told her.
They probably did. I don't know. I was 17. I was a kid. Who knows? I don't know. But I was able to communicate with Cheryl. I didn't know her at the time. I really didn't know about her. But from what they told me, we needed her. So I started communicating with her. I wrote her a letter. I met her somewhere. And up in New York, she was at an All-American game. So I went to the game. I met her. And I said, let's do it. And, we wound up all being there together. But it was an amazing time. Beautiful women, such serious ballers. Our practices were insane.
Okay.
The games
paint the picture.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it was
how insane.
It was full battles in practice with Cynthia Cooper commentating as she's playing.
And now I'm about to take you to
talking major the entire practice.
Oh my gosh!
Cheryl constantly battling because you had Cheryl's kind of like the country mouse, Cynthia's the city mouse. So you have this healthy competition plan, and then with the McGee twins, you go to the hole, you're getting beat up, ball getting your shot getting blocked, you're getting elbowed. I mean, it was a battle. It was a battle, but it made us all better. It made us understand competition. And, the McGee twins, they really set the tone for our team, looking at the future of women's basketball.
Yes.
Yes. And understanding our position as a predominantly African-American team, of how we were presenting ourselves, because the team was receiving so much attention because Cheryl had so much publicity coming in to college. She scored, 100 points in a game?
Yeah, over.
So she had all this publicity, all this hype coming in. And so the McGee twins are very cognizant of that, and they had their own fanfare. So combining that together, and nobody was hard on the eyes, right? So you're seeing everyone in pictures, and so they were cognizant of that. So when we would go to tournaments, they would, tell us, make sure you have this outfit. If it was an event that had, like, sometimes we'd have like banquets for the tournaments, we would purposely be late, like, so we can make a grand entrance. It was
entrance.
Hollywood. We were Hollywood. We
yes,
really were.
Yes. In LA, you got to do it right.
It made some people mad, but I think it helped. It helped the game. It helped bring attention to the game. And we played with a lot of enthusiasm on the court, which at the time people didn't like as much. But we were playing with emotion. And when you're having fun, you have emotion.
When you talked about the intensity in practice, go back for a second. Who would you say, if you had to, was more intense? Was it Cherl or was it Coop? Because Coop said that they used to go at it. We had Coop on the show a while back, and she said that she and Cherl used to go at it. How bad was it, and what did you see?
I mean, when we say it was intense, there was always chatter, but they loved each other, right? We were a team. They were actually, it was a constant competition, because Cynthia, was from LA, she was from Compton, Watts. Sorry, Cynthia, Watts, Watts. And so, she had a little chip on her shoulder,
right?
And she wasn't getting as much publicity as, say, Cherl was.
Yeah,
from her game, she could ball,
right?
So she wanted to show that, hey, I'm just as good. And we needed her to do that. Cynthia saved our season my freshman year. She took a charge on Kim Mulkey. And in practice, she would never take a charge. Never, ever.
Wait, you just brought up a good name. I told you we're unscripted, because now I got to jump into, I don't know if you heard us earlier talking about the Kim Mulkey not making a comment about Brittany Griner. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, this is back in the day. You played against Kim.
It's disappointing. It's disappointing. And it goes back to their relationship when Brittany was in college, and some of her personal choices about who she is. And, and I feel that Kim didn't agree with who Brittany is. So maybe she's still holding a grudge, because Brittany decided, hey, I am who I am. I'm going to be who I am. I don't care what you say. And I'm happy for her. I'm happy that Brittany was able to stand up for herself and be the person that she was, in spite of, what her coach thought.
Yeah. And it's tough. I mean, it's really, really tough. I mean, we've got a lot of comments out there about it.
It's disappointing.
Yeah. I don't ever expect the player-coach relationship. I swore for 4 years of college. I went to Syracuse. I swore for 4 years of college my coach hated me, right? I was, oh, she hated me. And it wasn't until afterwards that I learned, and I grew up a lot of ways and understood being pushed. Were you pushed? How much did you have that tension in your coaching experience of, I was pushed so hard that I thought my coach hated me?
No, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that. I was definitely one of the leaders on the team.
So it was just me. It was just me.
Okay. I was definitely one of the leaders on the team. And I think sometimes those relationships are based on playing time in some ways. And I got to play, so I was cool. I was good with Coach Sharp.
Yeah. All right. What was the most difficult part then in your playing experience? I mean, you're the point guard. You got all these talented women.
Yeah. When I got hurt, when I got hurt, I had to really. I dislocated my kneecap and
I did the same thing.
Tore all of my ligaments.
Yep. Same.
Where I almost had to get my leg amputated.
Ooh.
It was a devastating injury, and I'm fortunate that I can walk to this day. But I had when I got hurt at the it was called the Olympic Fest or something in Colorado Springs. It's kind of like a junior Olympic thing, and so I was fortunate because I had the best doctor, Dr. Richard Stedman, who's one of the Olympic doctors. He was there. And my injury was horrific, but his confidence in himself assured me that I would be okay because, you know, I was young, and I asked him, I'm like, well, am I going to have surgery? I mean, my kneecap was discombobulated at that point. And and he said, yes, you're going to need surgery, but I'm the best. I'm the best.
Yeah.
So I can fix it, but it's going to be on you after that. You're going to have to listen to your trainers, do the work, but I'm going to fix your knee. It's going to be on you after that. And so he flew me from Colorado Springs to Lake Tahoe, where his hospital was. So he and we were on like a private plane. He flew me up there. We had a limo waiting for us when we got there. My mom flew to Lake Tahoe. He paid for her stay because he kept me in the hospital for about 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
At that time, he had some advanced technology where my leg was in motion from the moment I got out of surgery. So it was 14 months before I could run again.
Oh my goodness.
14 months.
14 months.
Wow.
But I had my trainers, Elaine Lopes, Sue, Leah, they would come to my house and help me recover. Everything, whatever I needed, they really, helped me recover. And it was a lot of work in the pool as well. And so, I was in pretty good shape. I had a knee replacement in 2018. And again, I had a fantastic doctor, Dr. Clapper, who he has a show on ESPN on Saturday mornings.
Okay.
Yeah, and Dr. Clapper is awesome. I love him. And my goal was I wanted to be able to ride my bike again because I didn't have full range of motion. I no longer had full range of motion in my knee. So he was able to, do an excellent job. He said I had a lot of damage in there, because I had a lot of trauma to my knee. And I love riding my bike. I love riding my bike. I worked out,
Before I ask you this next question, I'm so glad that I reread I scribbled it while you were in the green room, kind of your background. And I thought I was going to make this really cool segue into you talking about what happened to your knee. And then I was about to say, and now you're in orthopedic therapy, right? So glad I read that. You're not in orthopedic therapy, you're in occupational therapy.
Yes.
What is that all about?
Yes.
What do you do, doctor?
Yes, I'm a clinical occupational therapist, and my area of expertise is mental health. And so OT is about doing. And as an athlete, that's what we do. We do things, right? And so in OT, we're helping people build skills. We're helping them engage in things that are most meaningful, their most meaningful occupations, helping them find a way. We're problem solving. We're helping them create strategies and, so that they can do the things and engage in things that are most important to them. And you can work in many areas of occupational therapy, but I work in mental health. So I'm seeing people that have, anxiety, depression, all conduct disorder, all different areas. And so it resonated with me because also I'm very interested in preventative care.
Yep.
Right.
I love that.
Being able to take care of our body. Like, I do some work with some athletes, and I want to do more work with athletes, especially athletes that are transitioning in sports, because those transitions are very difficult. And as an athlete, you build skills. So we have to learn how to transfer those skills to other areas of our lives.
Yep, absolutely. This is speaking like so much to me because I think like all of us were athletes here at one point in our life, I swear. And like we always say an athlete dies twice, right? Like our identity is so consumed with like being in athletes, and then and then after that, you get a hard turn usually. Sometimes it's an injury, like the exact injury that you described is the exact same thing that happened to me, but I did not get the best doctor in the world. But still good enough. I could still walk, I could run now. But I kind of wanted to touch on what you said, because I was talking about this very same subject earlier today about mental health and athletes, especially when you see the rise of it in the NBA coming to awareness. It's like the growth of it has gotten so much more coverage over the past even 3-4 years than it ever has.
Yes.
And there wasn't any even preventative mental health structures there in the NCAA world, college world, doesn't matter where you are. So how much growth, I'm curious to know, how much growth have you seen in the mental health field when it comes to athletics between now and even like 5 years ago?
I mean, it's astronomical. I mean, just the mere fact that we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Just the fact that an athlete may feel safer to say, I need some help. I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Now, okay today to say, I'm not okay. And it not affect your stature as an athlete. Right. So being able to share have some vulnerability is healthy. That alone is healthy.
John Wall.
Yes, exactly.
He came out like this past week saying he needed help.
I said, and he said, he had some issues earlier, where, we have to know where these resources are, who can help, and identifying these safe spaces. And as an OT, I'm looking at, sensory, how you're processing information, right? It all starts in our brain. Right. When the information comes to our brain, some of us process it one way, others process it another way. And how we process that information determines how we function. It affects our performance. So these are all areas that I work in. I also teach. I teach in a doctorate program at West Coast University. So I love working with my students. And
what, one of the things I wanted to mention too, just on the backside of that mental health piece, is that we hear a lot about the mental health piece for the student athletes now, particularly since COVID, for everybody really since COVID, not just athletics. But the one place that I do a lot of work in conflict resolution and the mental health piece, that's part of the holistic training, right? But the one place that I don't see it, believe it or not, or I don't hear about it, or you won't hear about it as much, is in coaching. And really until Joanne P. McCauley came out, saying that she was, former coach at Duke. We also had her on the show. Came out, she's got her book and she's going around now and doing a lot of talking about the mental health space. I'm serious. I think I have met a lot of coaches. I listen, I watch them, and I think that there's got to be something more done. And you're starting to hear about all of these things that are happening, things coaches say and do, and things that fly out their mouth that later get them in trouble. I think that there's a space where coaches also should be heavily encouraged to really, really talk about their mental health. It's a lot of pressure, especially like in the D1 in particular. It's a lot of pressure out there. And I'm just wondering, how much is that even discussed? Is that, maybe I'm missing the beat, but I hear about it for the student athletes. You don't hear about it for coaches very much. Is that something that's prominent?
And I think you're right, Vera. And I think, some coaches are beginning to speak out about it. Ty Lue talked about it, the coach of the Clippers.
Yeah,
he was coaching the Cleveland Cavaliers. He talked about how he had to take some time off because as a coach, you become engulfed in your team. You don't take care of yourself. It's like a mother. It's like a parent. They do everything for their child and they don't do anything for themselves.
It's true.
It has to be reversed. You have to put yourself first.
Yeah.
Because you're the one that they're relying on. You're the person that they're looking to. So if you're not at your best, how can you help someone else? So, the pressure that coaches are under, and as the money increases, the pressure increases. And so,
then to tie that in, we started talking about NIL, right? So now you've got the pressure of, you've got these highly visible athletes. First, you just had to coach athletes. Now you have to coach athletes who are highly visible superstars, right? You're in an area you don't know anything about. And then they're threatening, they're jumping into the transfer portal every 5 minutes. You can't keep them, you can't coach them. And then your job is dependent on 18 to 22-year-olds making decisions on TikTok, right? And a bunch of other things that have nothing to do with basketball.
It's tough. It's tough. They sign up for it. They know what they're signing up for.
So get the help.
But they have to be able to be in a position to take care of themselves. Preventative care is key. And, it's about holistic care. We're not separate parts. If if emotionally we're not feeling good, that's going to affect us physically. If physically we're not feeling well, that's going to affect us emotionally. We're not separate pieces. We're a holistic, we're one whole human being. And so we have to be focused more on the holistic care of the individual.
Would you say, Rhonda, because a lot of people call the Generation Zs or Zs like snowflakes or super sensitive, and like, you know, sometimes they might be a little reactive to things. They can't take the tough love. They'll just go to the transfer portal. Or is that should coaches on the flip side be doing a better job of trying to retain talent and maybe treat people better, or change the way they're treating people?
I think it's both. It's never only one thing, right? I think it's both. And I think in the age of social media, there's less personal interaction. So, you know, it's a lot easier to voice how I'm feeling, you know, via social media versus having an actual conversation.
Right.
So the more I think coaches can create these environments where the athletes feel comfortable and safe to talk with them, I think you'll have much better outcomes.
Yeah, it's tough. And like, I love this comment by Erica Mitchell, because it strikes right home with me, as I lost a really good friend of mine who played at Northwestern D1 basketball to suicide as well. Like, so many athletes in recent years have committed suicide. Mental health should definitely be added into into sports in all aspects of coaching athletes transitioning into college or pro. And I would even say there's probably even another layer that definitely doesn't get talked about, but even the builders and facilitators of the programs too, right? The athletic directors and stuff like that. Mental health is not just like a student thing or like a one person thing. It's like everybody thing. How much growth do you think the mental health industry has, like in sports especially, has yet to grow into? Like, how far is this going to go up?
To the point where we don't have enough mental health providers to address all of the needs of our communities right now.
Wow.
And so, again, it's more awareness. We have a lot more awareness. And, you know, I'm looking to be more involved with athletes in that area, because not only do I have, you know, my clinical background, but my background as an athlete. So I can also empathize with, you know, some of the issues that athletes are dealing with today, even though what athletes deal with today versus what we dealt with is so much more. It's so much more, because, okay, social media, you're constantly battling on social media. Now you have nil. So think about the players on the team that are not receiving deals. This is why Dawn did that. This is Dawn. This is why Dawn made sure everyone got a piece.
Wow.
So now, as an athlete, even though I'm not, you know, a star, I'm still valued. So that was brilliant. That was brilliant. And we don't know what people's traumas are. We all have trauma. And we all cope with trauma differently.
Do you think that it is that much tougher in today's age versus back then? Because, you know, whenever I hear the stories of, like, you know, in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s basketball, it sounds like the game was tougher. The coaches were harder on players. And so, I mean, that still mentally must have been harder back then. I know a lot more sensitivity trainings now.
But I think with the social media piece,
where
it's constant information overload.
How
do you, I don't know how to, like, I barely go on Instagram because I just can't. This morning, I sat down, every morning I chant. I'm a Buddhist, right? I chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. So in the morning, I spend like an hour. Time for myself, to prepare myself, lift my life condition, so I can go out in the world making the best possible choices, right? Cause and effect, right? So I chant, I'm feeling good. And then I go on Instagram. The next thing I know, it is 45 minutes later, and I'm thinking, I didn't have time to do that. So I don't have the discipline yet to stay on social media. I'm learning, you know, hopefully every day we try and learn something new. So I'm learning and developing and trying to integrate my life with social media, but it's not easy. And again, it's information overload.
And I think back in the day, you didn't know what you didn't know. I mean, really, you just didn't know what you didn't know. Now you know everything. There's Google. You just didn't know if your coach. In other words, if your coach was hard and cursed at you and threw a chair across the room,
nobody knew.
Kicked you, everybody was, I guess everybody's coach is like this, right? It wasn't like you could go on media like my coach threw a chair at me in practice today. Right? What? Nobody does that, right? You didn't know what you didn't know, so it was very intimate, and it just was right. Now, on the same respect for an athlete, if you have a bad game. You know, we had a player that shot the ball at the wrong basket, right? Can you imagine today? Where would her mental health be right now, knowing that the whole world, she went viral for scoring a basket at another basket, right? You know, it was just like it was us. We cracked jokes, it was over, you know? So there's just a lot more. You just didn't know what you didn't know. We didn't have it.
And when we played, one of my teammates, Juliet Robinson, she was kind of our team therapist at the time, and so she tried to be the mediator between us and Coach Sharp. I also want to mention my other teammates, Yolanda Fletcher, Jamea Bond, Tracy Longo. You know, we had a really tight knit group, and you know, we still connect to this day.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome.
Women of Troy is tight.
You got some questions coming in too. They want you to talk the game a little bit, talk about going backwards. Who was some of the toughest guards you battled in college? And did you ever play against our very own Teaspoon on this show?
Yeah, I'm still mad at Teresa Witherspoon over a game we had at SC. We had the game won. We went to overtime on a shot she made. It might have been on me. I don't even remember. And
he would remember.
I think they may have beaten us that game, because we used to get with Louisiana Tech. You know, initially it was Kim Mulkey and Janice Lawrence.
Someone wants you to talk about Janice Lawrence. How was she? We hear about Janice all the time.
She had the killer bank shot. And she had definitely had an edge. I remember playing in the championship game against Louisiana Tech, and Paula McGee was guarding Janice Lawrence. And I came over and wound up fouling Janice. And Paula started yelling at me. And I said, well, I was coming to help. She's like, don't help me. I got it. That jumper off the glass, it was definitely sweet. She was a serious player, and she had that edge. Also, Dennis Rodman's sister, Deborah Rodman. She was
my goodness
at the time, yes. And
who'd she play with?
Louisiana Tech.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I did not know that.
Yes.
Was she anything like Dennis?
Yes. She's from the family. You know, she wasn't a high fly act, but she had an edge to her. And so Pam McGee used to talk to her, tell her, look, I'm gonna leave you open. They're not even giving you the ball. And so she would try and start chaos. Chaos on the team.
There's another question too that came in. How good was Pam McGee as a player? And then after that one, I want to know about our very own Penny Toller, that whole transition. Did you bring her into the Sparks, etc.?
So Pam McGee, she was a beast down low. You know, and so it was Paula took jump shots a little further out.
Finesse,
they were both serious ballers. Yeah. And I remember us going on a road trip, and our assistant coach was we were going to play Louisiana Tech and Tennessee. And Pam was notoriously late. So she was late to the plan. It was early in the morning, and he talked about, all right, well, if she's not here in 5 minutes, we're leaving. We're like, no, we're not. We will get out of this van. You can go down there by yourself if you want to. We are not leaving Pam. We called her Baby Moses.
Okay.
Yeah. She was
very good.
Was good playing.
What's the story on Penny? Did you bring her to the Sparks?
So yes. So back in the day, at the time, we had to submit players that we wanted. So before the draft, this was before the draft. So if people remember, each team was assigned 2 players. And so I submitted a list of players. Penny was on that list. And so it wound up being Lisa and Penny as the starting core for LA.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how Penny.
What about Coop?
Cooper wound up going to
Houston.
to Houston because Cheryl Swoops got pregnant. If that
Ah,
would have
that's
happened,
right.
it may have been. If that didn't happen, it may have been Lisa and Cynthia versus versus Cynthia being in Houston. But also Cynthia had residence in Houston, so
Okay.
down in Texas. So that was another
That makes
connection
sense.
for her being on the
Right.
Houston team.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I put this US. I agree with this. This was my team. I mean, when I was coming up, I had my little I had my little Cheryl Miller Jerry curl. I had the whole thing going on, right? Like this was my team. Watching you all play, and it was so rare for a women's game to even make it to TV, right? But the national championship game was like the only game you could see. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to agree with Hoop Baller. That was my squad right there.
But what's funny is he's mixing eras because Lisa didn't play with us. So in that spot is
Paula McGee. Lisa Leslie didn't play with you, yeah.
So Paula McGee was in that spot. So Pam and Paula McGee, who were the cornerstones and the beginning of USC basketball.
Yeah, that was my squad before Lisa. Nothing against Lisa, but back in the day, run, that run.
You were taking Lisa. Lisa fit
I would take Lisa then, but she didn't exist back then, right? It was the McGee twins, you and
Lisa
Cherl.
and Tina Thompson.
Yeah. They came later.
Mm-hmm. And
so that didn't count. They weren't back in the 80s with a Jerry curl, so they didn't count. They didn't count.
No.
Yeah. Talk about the Say No Classic that you formed and any big names that we may know that played in it.
The Say No is probably my that's my legacy. Truly, that is
awesome.
Yes, the Say No Classic. We started in '91. And we had the league for 20 years. And we started with nothing. There was a men's Say No Classic, and rest in peace, Rod Smith. He wanted to expand and have a women's division. Someone connected us, and I said, "Okay, Rod." At the time, I was working with the Lakers. I said, "Okay, Rod. So, where do we play? Oh, you have to get a gym. Okay. How much? What about our budget? Oh, you have to raise your own money. Well, what about the uniforms? You got to get your own uniforms." I'm like, "Well, what the hell are you giving me then? Like, what do I have?" He's like, they have you. You can do this. And so from that, the Say No was formed. And I relied on, the former players that I knew started as coaches. So my idea was to give women an opportunity to coach, right? Yeah. And create a professional environment for people, for players to work on their game in the summertime. So I had a college division and I had a high school division. And so any player that has played basketball in LA from 91 till 2010 played in the Say No Classic. And so Lisa played, Cynthia Cooper came back to play. So at that time I could have former players playing with college players. And you had to mix the team. So it was great because you had, and this is of course before the WNBA started. So we were able to have a lot of these, a lot of the pros who went overseas to play. When they came home in the summer, they didn't have anywhere to play. And then we would also do a tournament at Venice Beach for money. We linked up with Hoop Heads, who Nudie, Rita Sanderson, her crew, they worked with Queen Latifah. So Queen Latifah came and put up prize money. We had a $10,000 purse, and we would play at Venice Beach outside over the weekend. So, I mean, any player that played during that time played in the Say No Classic. A lot of kids got recruited. I was able to service, close to probably 7,500 players over that time. And a lot of scholarships, a lot of people, Michael Cooper got his women's basketball coaching pedigree from coaching in the Say No Classic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say we have something similar, like up here in Canada. It sounds very similar to what that concept is. But quick question, just for my own ignorance, why is it called Say No? I don't know. Is there a reason?
It wasn't my name. It was the name that the men's division had.
Yeah,
and it was at the time Rod was able to get a grant from Nancy Reagan came up with
Nancy
that.
Reagan.
Back in the day, it was like just say no to drugs. So he was able to get some grant money for the men before I started. And so he stuck with the name Say No. So I just kept the name.
Young Savannah. Young Savannah, it's okay, but you definitely aged
It's a
me
great,
when you
it's a
asked
great
that
question.
question.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, I just use it in my mind to just say no to
say
negativity.
No. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because it's like, say no to drugs. And you're like, what is say no? So that's again.
I know this. Yeah. I know that the organization say no to drugs, but I was like, why does it say no? What are we saying no to?
Like, why say yes? What's really, I was listening and I was thinking as you were talking about, you had to get all the money yourself. And in today's news, how about this? Kevin Durant dropped $30 million or was part of a bunch of investors that dropped $30 million into this Athletes Unlimited. It's at the forefront of women's sports. Wow. I don't know if you heard anything about that, but could you imagine what you could have done with $30 million to get that sports league off the ground?
I was happy when Dr. Buss gave me 5,000. So I was happy about that.
Yeah, that's a big change. We've come a long way.
Yes, we have. And only looking to much bigger things. I love where women's basketball is going. These young players are phenomenal. I don't like watching bad basketball. And I tell you what, during those WNBA finals, that was some magnificent basketball.
Wasn't it?
I'm a fan. Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray. I love the kid. I love the kid on Connecticut's team that shoots her free throw with the one hand.
Oh, the one hand, Jasmine Thomas.
No.
Thomas. Come on, y'all, football player. Did I say it right? I know we're gonna get it, and we're gonna get the comments. Yeah.
Is it Jasmine Thomas? And she just played on the FIBA team, on the USA team.
Thomas, right?
With one hand
her
jump shot.
Thomas.
Am I killing it? Am I mixing?
I'm on defense. She kills it on defense.
I'm pretty sure her last name is Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, I thought it was Jasmine Thomas.
I love her game. I love her tenacity. I love her tenacity. I mean, Asia Wilson. I mean, she knows how
Alyssa Thomas. Thank you. Alyssa. I knew somebody would give it to me. Thanks, Day.
Yes. I am a true fan. I really enjoyed watching them. Chelsea Gray reminds me of Magic in some ways. The way she walks, it's like you don't think she's going to put some speed on you, but she has some speed and
that's
and
a good. That's
down some shots. Yeah, so I'm a fan. I might even get some season tickets this year. We'll see.
Yeah, no, they definitely upped the game. It was a joy to watch. I'm really looking forward to the next season. I had kind of fallen off of watching the WNBA over the years. I'm just and these last couple of seasons, definitely this season, definitely made me go, okay, I'm in. I'm all in. I'm locked in again. So I really appreciate the talent as well. We appreciate you, Rhonda. This has been great taking us back. We did have a couple more questions. One of them was about Tina Hutchison because Penny talks about her all the time. Can you tell us about her game?
Down in San Diego State. Oh man, when Penny played with Tina, I remember us going down to San Diego State, and Cherl and Tina kind of got into it, and it was a little battle with them. Tina was tough. She was tough, and she was mean. And she had a nice jumper, and she would go to the hole with no fear. So WNBA was a little too late for her, but she would have been a superstar.
I tell everybody it was too late for me too. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Me too. I say I still got it. I still got it. I just don't use it. I just don't use it at all.
They're like, "Did you play in the league?" I'm like, "No, I broadcast. I was a little late. A couple years earlier, I'm sure I would have gotten drafted." Yeah, right. But anyway, this has been a thrill. I told you we have so many people who know the history even better than we do. So we definitely thank all of our Facebook watchers, all of our YouTube watchers. Don't forget, you can pop those questions. You can visit us on www.certifiedunscripted.com. It's a long word, but I'm sure you can spell it. Certified Unscripted. And that's it.
At Rhonda Live Well on Instagram.
Tell us again.
At Rhonda Live Well on Instagram.
At Rhonda Live Well on Instagram. So if you have more questions,
I'm gonna do my best to get on Instagram. I'm gonna try.
You can do it.
Don't stay on for 45 minutes.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't stay on.
I muted my Instagram notifications.
I have to develop some discipline. Discipline.
There's no time limit. timers on these social media apps too, right? They'll ding you when you have hit a certain time you set for yourself.
Yep, they absolutely are. But
There was-
Rhonda, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, it's been a pleasure. As you can see, I'm in New York. I'm not sitting out on my back porch. The only thing, 3 words that you have for New York is rainy, windy, and cold. So it's.
I'll be there. I think I'll be there in November. So I got to pull out the fur. I got to pull out my fur for that. I'll play.
Definitely.
I don't like being cold.
Absolutely. We enjoyed you. Vera, take us out, honey.
All right. Well, for Savannah Hamilton, my co-host, for Rita Hayward, our executive producer, our fabulous guest, Rhonda Windham. Do not call her Windham.
That's right.
Don't do it. Rhonda Windham, Dr. Rhonda Windham. Thank you very much. And thank you to all of you. Tune in next week, next Tuesday, same place, same time. And remember, when it comes to women's hoops, we're not new to this. We are true to this. We are certified unscripted. Rita, do not forget to hit the little button that turns us off.
Right there. So wait, everybody, next week, Janice Lawrence Braxton, tune in. We've been asking for her. She'll be on. So
all right.
Make sure you tune in.
Tune in again too, Rhonda.
All right, I'll do that.
All right, ladies.
You guys. Thank you.
Thank you.